Welcome to Nacho Average Cinema. I'm Zach,
And I'm Pepper.
and today we're talking about top 10 movies that need sequels slash reboots potentially. Since this seems to be what so many movies these days are doing, is either sequels to old movies or reboots of franchises with probably seems like more misses than hits. But there have been some good hits. There have been some
Yeah.
good ones. And yeah, these are just 10 that we would like to see. I don't know. I didn't check that closely. I'm sure there's rumors and talks for at least some of mine that there may be sequels in the works or whatnot. So, and maybe it would just make this all a useless list.
Yeah, I would be interested in like looking at this list in like 5 to 10 years and see how many of them actually were able to get those. But hopefully all of them. So comment below what movies that you wish they would make a sequel or a reboot to. One of your favorite movies possibly, or maybe a movie that you thought sucked but had a good concept and could have been good. And hope they make it someday. You will be leading us off. You do not know the order of your own list. You gave me your.
I do not. So yeah,
Oh,
there's no specific order to mine unless Pepper determined how much he thought I might want some versus others. But
I
we
did.
will get to my number
I
10.
did not. You're number 10. People like top 10 lists, so that still has to be a top 10, even though there is no order. You're number 10, sir. Ooh.
Wow, puts this one on the bottom just because
It
of how
felt
much
like
he
the
hates it.
the most likely to get a sequel, I would think.
Maybe we haven't had one yet, and I don't even know that I've heard any talks of one. But Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I really liked this one. It felt a little bit different than a lot of. I mean, it had a lot of the same stuff as most of the Marvel films, and I think this was the beginning of the kind of end of the Marvel films, like just being like constant hits and oh, let's do it bigger, let's do it bigger. I feel like this was kind of the point right around this movie where that started not being such a thing.
I wonder
And
whose fault it is then.
I mean, I felt like this one was different than the other ones, and ever since I'm like, I'm interested in. It kind of left two different potential story paths. I thought at the end, with his sister kind of taking over. I think the art was a group called the Ten Rings as well. Like the people that the father had, spoilers, left when he did he die? I don't remember.
I think
But
I have to rewatch it, honestly.
and then you've got the story. Shang-Chi could obviously have another one about him in particular, but I mean, there's two stories there that I would be totally fine with either one, especially if they do more kind of like this. It felt different, and it felt like it got in a way was smaller scope,
Yeah.
and it just feels like some of them these days don't have that.
Yeah, it kind
And
of
yeah,
gave me a similar feel to like Ant-Man, where it kind of felt
yeah,
like back to the days of Iron Man, just those original core characters with their individual stories.
right, yeah. So I'd really like a second one in this one, and yeah, we'll see if we get that or not.
At
Uh,
least, yeah, at least continue something for this character.
right,
My number 10, I tried to put some of the ones that I thought were most likely to be made at these earlier spots. And one that I think has been announced is Jumanji, which was to be Jumanji 3. I love both of these. I think it's The Rock's best role. I think it's Jack Black's best role. I think it's Kevin Hart's best role. It's that horse's best role. And probably Karen Gillan's best role as well. I just think it's the perfect cast. Loved both the first and the second of this kind of reboot of the franchise. But The Rock's a busy man, and even though they announced we're working on number three, it's going to be the finale. I'm like, just get to work on it. Make the movie sooner rather than later, because all of these people are very busy. You got one in the MCU. The Rock's always doing stuff. Jack Black's in every other movie released. Kevin Hart's a comedian and in every other movie released. So I'm just like, get to work, get it done sooner rather than later, because maybe we find ourselves in 5 more years down the line, and timing just hasn't worked out. So. Get to it.
Yeah, that's fair. This one feels like I don't know, a lot of people. Well, maybe it's just Michaela. It seems like a lot of people like the Grown Ups series, Adam Sandler, those ones. This one kind of feels like another one of those ones where there's just it's got like it's fans of people that like them, and I just happen to not be. I don't know. I think it probably is. I agree. It probably is The Rock's best role, but I'm fine with the ones that are out there. I don't need another one of these personally, but I can definitely see uh, people wanting it, especially yeah, with that cast of characters.
And next up, your number nine. I forget you don't know it. Your number nine is ooh, another one. Guaranteed sequel. Come on.
I actually don't think that this is so guaranteed, but I we were early on in this channel, and I don't know if I've had a chance to mention Wonka, but it has been one of my favorite films of the last couple years. It's been my most watched, rewatched. I think on I tripped to Scotland this last year. It was on the plane. I probably watched it three times, three or four times on the way going there and back combined. And yeah, I don't know. I think I'm the only one that loves this movie as much as I do. I don't know that there's anyone that loves it more. I don't even think old Timothy Chalamet likes it that much. Uh, I guess I don't know how much he liked playing the character. And yeah, it probably if they made another one, probably wouldn't live up to what I liked about this. It just all works for me as on a I don't know personal level. I just really liked it. Like that it's a musical. I think it was I don't know, just flawless feeling for me. But I know that that's not probably a popular, wide held belief by a lot of people. I don't know if there's that many people talking about Wonka as one of like the top films of the last 5 years, kind of thing. So I don't know that it will happen, and I don't even know if it did, if I would end up liking it,
Mhm.
because it just felt like this one, this all worked, and the characters all fell into place, and I don't know that you could maybe repeat that or not.
I guess, yeah, and the next one, what, he'd be maybe a little more famous and have the shop be a big
Right.
deal, possibly, which I think could be good. I think as long as the main character as of Wonka is done well, I think it could be good. But I agree, it's a really good movie. It's got a very wholesome feel to it. It feels kind of throwback and comfortable and homey to kind of Christmas movies of old, even though it's not kind of a Christmas movie, a little bit feeling to
Yeah,
it.
I would call it a Christmas movie personally. Probably those Die Hard lovers out there that would say, "Well, this isn't a Christmas movie, but Die Hard is."
Uh, Good pick. Good pick. My next one. Speaking of Die Hard, that ain't gonna make this list. But my next one is another one that they have announced was supposed to have the third in the original trilogy release in 2025, but it was pulled from its date. And uh, same worry as Jumanji. I hope they can get to finishing the Quiet Place trilogy, the Abbott Families trilogy. I like the spin-offs, and they're great, but or at least the one we've had. But I want Krasinski back. I want him directing this for his third one, third and final possibly of that trilogy. I want it. It's a masterpiece. Krasinski is one of the best horror directors in the business. Just based on those first two, he knows how to build up these sequences, have all these little details, build up multiple storylines at once to climax and be just maximum tension right at the near the end of the movie, and they're just phenomenal. I rewatched the second one and liked it way more than I thought I did and thought I would. So, really excited for this one, but Krasinski, sexiest man alive now. He's going to be getting more business than ever. He's doing children's movies. I'm like, come on, get back, finish this before it's too late, before I miss our window. We've got kids in this movie. They're going to be like 30 years old pretty soon. Let's just get back to it, wrap it up, then go do your other Hollywood dreams.
Pepper, why do you do this to yourself? Picking another one that I I really liked the first one, and I think it was a great concept, great movie. And the second one, maybe if I did rewatch it, maybe I would think of it more fondly. But it to me felt very much like the same as the first one. And then I think I think it had some cool things I did like in it. But overall, I was like, yeah, some of these things make me like I don't know, it's just the a couple things felt like we totally forgot about things in the first one to make things happen here, and it just always irks me a little bit. Whereas, the new one in the day one or ish or whatever, I liked that because now it's new characters and it's happening on that time, so they don't. It's not like they already knew things and you have to like, oh, do dumb things that don't make sense knowing what you know. So you could go back to learning it in a way with those characters, and I liked that part. So I would like more maybe in that world and
Yeah.
stuff, but it would have to be yeah either smarter people doing like smarter things sometimes, and obviously things can happen,
Yeah.
but or else another. I don't know that I would even mind another kind of story from it starting at day one again. From maybe another point of view, point of angle, could be fun as well.
Yeah, I'm not opposed. Pump out those spin-offs with go get whatever directors you want. Make those as well. And next up, I actually have your list here, so I know what you got next. Oh boy. You got another superhero movie, a team
Ooh.
up movie.
The Squad. Yeah, this not to be confused with the other movie, of the Suicide Squad. That one I don't need another one of. But this one, I just loved the action. You'll probably see with a couple of my other picks. I have kind of a maybe violent
He
action that
likes
I
rated
tend to like
R
in films.
action.
I do tend to like just that kind of really over the top, kind of graphic things going on in the in the movies. I don't know. It just ever since trying to think, probably was John Wick before this movie that kind of brought that sort of style for me. I think. I'm trying to think of which order I watched these movies. It's so easy to forget what
Yeah.
years. I'm not good at recalling those things, but I thought this one had a fun cast of characters, kind of that could do well. Two of the people kind of had the same exact thing. They I think they kind of joked about that. And then kind of just had some other interesting characters like the polka dot man. I thought that was really cool, and I'm like, if you could, introduce maybe a couple other cool characters like that, because I don't have much knowledge of the kind of these DC villains or anti-heroes or whatever they are. Um, and then what was his name? Was it Shark?
It's like
The Shark
King
Man, King
Shark
Shark,
or
King
Mr.
Shark.
Shark,
I
something.
thought he was interesting too. So it's like wouldn't. I mean, you could use some of those characters, or you could just do a whole new batch of them, um, or you could have Civil War, where you have Peacemaker versus whoever
Yeah,
Idris Elba's character.
whatever that's
Uh,
called.
could be a lot of fun. I think this one could be a lot of fun
Yeah, I
to
think they should
revisit.
have a lot of interesting characters to choose from for sure. Yeah, I agree. I'd love to. I guess I don't know the status if they want to with the new DC reboot, if they're going to be. I think they
Yeah,
want
that's
more
true.
Peacemaker. I think they're making a season two, so and I assume they would want to keep the same Harley Quinn. She's a very popular character and actress, so hopefully they do continue with this one. And that was James Gunn making this movie, so I would hope he'd want to bring these characters forward and keep them in the universe.
Yep.
But yeah, and I'll just say the Suicide Squad greater than Guardians of the Galaxy. Moving on to my next one. Speaking of a team up, this really isn't a team up. It's fighting against two classic extraterrestrial characters.
E.T.
And yes, E.T. versus, I can't even think of any other wholesome aliens that would never fight. But E.T. These are franchises that have recently kind of had reboots, and that is Alien and Predator franchises. And I think if we got these reboots, people really liked Alien Romulus, they really liked Prey, and since they're maybe getting a little hot again, let's pair them together. Let's fight them together again. Make it rated R this time. Get some of that awesome bloody violence. And yeah, just get some really good, even the same directors, if you can bring them together to team up for this and get the vibe right. I know the original movies were mixed. I like the first one. It was actually PG-13, which who thought to make that PG-13? I mean, just look at the cover, but I mean, it actually worked pretty well and it was fun. Not really anyone likes the second Alien versus Predator, but I just think there's an opportunity to hear that somehow has presented itself again in front of us, and I hope they seize it.
Maybe a Krasinski film.
Yes, get him signed to the project. Hopefully. Your next one, speaking of a monster, you got a monster flick here for your number seven. And
Ooh,
I think it might be the seventh or eighth in the franchise.
it
Sequel
probably
you
would
talked
be. I think they've got a lot of them that are kind of unknown ones that I probably haven't even watched. 'Cause I think I watched a few of them. There's one where it's older timey, which I don't know if that technically is supposed to happen before the first one, but then it doesn't really make sense.
so,
But yeah, I really liked the first couple of these movies, and I think if we could go back to something like that, that would be a lot of fun. Obviously, it'd be nice to have Bert back, but I don't know if this would be more of like a reboot potentially, just because you have him back, it's that problem again of the knowledge of things, and
yeah,
it just is hard to be, I don't know, to I don't know, make it feel like, oh, he doesn't just already know everything and how to take them out.
yeah,
These people have to, I would want the characters going to have to learn that. It's always part of the fun of those kind of things, kind of like Quiet Place, where, yeah, the first film, how do we fight these monsters? How do we fight these tremors? What's causing this? What's doing this? Uh, and it'd be interesting. Like I said, I don't know that I've watched all of them, but from what I remember, all these kind of happen out in kind of this deserted desert land. It would be interesting to see this more. I wonder what it would be like in a bigger city or
oh
something
yeah,
like that potentially. I don't know if that would work,
I guess
and could be a big bust, but otherwise, I could see it rebooted as well. Maybe that's when, if you were gonna do something crazy like the city, do some crazy action and stuff, then I guess you could have Bert, because you
yeah,
need
that's right.
someone that knows what's going on. You could have him living there,
Tremors
kind of
taking
old
Manhattan.
man. He's like, I'm not gonna live out in the desert anymore. I'm not dumb.
Yes,
And then
live
they
on the
come and
rock,
find him.
the rocks of Manhattan, but they
Yes.
find a way.
Well,
Um,
they've evolved
they have
over
that.
Bert's
Yeah, I think.
lifetime. They found ways to get through those rocks. We finally get the next evolution stage of these things.
Yeah, I've seen two of the more recent ones. I think they went to Africa, like 2000, like in the teens. I think they were. I think they went to Africa, went to like Antarctica or something. And there's like Shrieker Island is one of the ones, and I'm like, I have not seen that one, but
I gotta watch that one.
so it seems they are kind of just fast forwarding through all these different evolutions of the Tremors. So if you want something crazy, follow it up. But I think, yeah, rebooting this one, there's a lot of hot Hollywood stars now. Like, I'm just thinking, comparing it to Twisters, like get Glenn Powell here. Twisters, I think that's kind of the right vibe for something like Tremors, nothing too
Yeah,
heavy or scary, lighthearted fun. I think that's the direction. So,
yeah, I 100% agree. That's like yeah, the Twisters and I think Top Gun Maverick are two
oh,
of the ones that I've really liked, and those both kind of have a little bit more of an older school feel vibe. So I think if you were going to reboot this, kind of following in those steps could be good. And that's where probably when if you're going to follow in those steps, I probably wouldn't do the city thing.
yeah.
But if you're like, oh, we just got to continue and have Bert in this, and just something crazy, crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe just feature Bert a little bit, a little cameo in there. But
It's
yeah,
true.
don't kill him off. Don't be like one of those things. Need to honor him. And my next one is a franchise I don't even like. And it's got like 10, 12 movies in there, I assume, and I've only seen one, which was a reboot that everyone hated. And it's probably a sin that that is the only one that I've seen. But yeah, that's a weird intro to it. But I've never been interested in A Nightmare on Elm Street. But I think if we remade this, get one of these new horror directors, maybe James Wan, he did like the Conjuring movies, just really has an eye for horror and using the camera in unique ways. I feel like you could make some really awesome nightmare scenarios, literally nightmare sequences. and get a new actor for Freddy Krueger. I know people love Robert Englund and his portrayal, and I think whoever Wes Craven who directed these, his estate's like, we're working on some movies and we want to bring Robert back to play Freddy Krueger. And I'm like, no, I want something new. There's a lot of great actors out there. We say no one could do it, but I think there can be a new take on him that can be just as good. And I would like a jumping on point that isn't going back to the 70s and 80s. And those just seem a little goofy to me, those movies. So hoping maybe there can be a version for me for this franchise. For some reason, this one stuck with me. I'm like, why am I thinking I want a sequel to this or a reboot? I don't know. Just stuck out to me.
Yeah, I suppose out of those old school horror films, this probably seems like the most interesting one versus uh, a Jason
Yeah.
one or
Yeah, what?
Halloween. I guess
Yeah,
Halloween, you've got all the recent
yeah, they
movies,
did.
so you don't really need to do more of those. But yeah, this would probably be the most interesting one to go back and explore some more. They did that for it, right? So they could do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they did. Yeah. Okay, you got, oh boy, you got a big, speaking of big, long franchises, you have another as well. Oh boy. I had to,
I think this would be the sixth film in this one as well. Yeah, this is Pirates of the Caribbean. It's just one of those franchises that makes me think of like a Fast and Furious style franchise where it's just well, I think this one's actually a funner world than the Fast and Furious ones. Maybe the first ones of those ones were a little funner, but uh, I think this one's got more of the world building kind of feel to them, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Especially, I think I'll enjoy the first two the most, and the other ones were good as well. But just kind of getting maybe back to the roots of some of those first ones, where maybe it was. I feel like this one kind of was another one of those that kind of just kept getting bigger and bigger, and kind of getting down to more of a smaller, going back to a smaller vibe. Especially if I think we tried. I think Pepper and I just kind of looked this one up to see what was happening, and it sounds like if they are in the actual works of making them, they don't know that it's going to be this. It's going to be like more of a reboot. I don't know. I think uh, Johnny Depp, since he's still here with us,
yeah,
I think you just have to do another one with him as Jack Sparrow. I think it fails and bombs if you try anything else. Personally, I could be totally wrong. You probably could do spin-offs that work, but if you're going to bring one of these back after 7 or 8 years of not having one,
yeah.
and you aren't having Jack Sparrow be the main character, I think that's a big misstep. But I could be wrong. Maybe they could do something new that would feel just as fun. But I feel like he's got to have one last voyage. We got to
Yeah,
need one more from him. I don't know that. Yeah, I need like a bunch more of these, but I think one final one that kind of puts the nail on the coffin. Then you can explore whatever you want with it.
yeah, I think they kind of did that with Rocky, with Rambo, just kind of revisiting these characters as they're a bit older, and I could see that being like just like one like serious. Let's not just continue the franchise. Maybe forget some of the lesser parts and not try to fit the whole franchise and follow it all up. But just kind of that core set of characters, especially him, and one last voyage, I think could be pretty awesome if it was done right.
Mhm.
And then next up for me is finally one that I don't think has any plans for a sequel. And that is one of the shocking movies that I just put on one time and immediately fell in love. Pun not intended. Love and Monsters. This is one I'm like, I need something to watch. I'm panicking. My food's getting cold. I want to watch something as I eat. So I'm like, okay, put this on. And then just kind of the opening sequence, I'm like, oh my goodness, I love the vibe. I love the style and the attitude of this one. Very lighthearted, humorous, but obviously with monsters, post-apocalyptic. And I thought the set of characters was great. I thought the kind of world building that we had and the people we met along the way was fantastic. The visual effects for having a budget just like a fraction of some of these MCU movies just held up to those and sometimes was better than them. The MCU has some terrible moments of visual effects, but this one was just like they obviously had the right attitude in how they were filming it. They weren't wasteful or like, we'll just fix it in post. Good attitude, well executed, fantastic characters. I'd love a sequel. I think this one was 2020, so I'm like, it's getting to the point where it's kind of awkward to go back because I don't, it was during the pandemic. I don't know how many people actually saw this. So that's kind of one of the things that I think is hurting it currently is that it did never really get its moment. But hoping someone will follow this up.
Yeah, I remember liking it as well. I think I remember right, the ending was just not my favorite. Didn't land it how I wanted it to, but I do remember like up to that point, I was like, oh, this is actually really good. It was not what I was expecting. I guess I don't know what I was expecting when I put it on because I just kind of put it on randomly as well. But I definitely enjoyed it, and I feel like that happens with a lot of some of these that I do really enjoy hidden gem movies. I'm just putting them on, and it's like, wow, this is way better than I would ever think. But yeah, I don't know that I've heard many people talk about this one, and I think it might have just gotten kind of lost in the shuffle, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, another one for you. I forget if there was any talk of a sequel for this, but um, let's jump into it. Van Helsing.
Yeah, and this one might be more of a reboot, but we can use the same characters from this. It's been a while since I watched this one, but I remember watching it a couple times when I was younger, and I like the concept and the ideas of this style of movie and having kind of these creature characters. Um, and yeah, this good guy. It's kind of Witcher style, Witcher-esque. It makes me think of where he's going out and slaying these different monsters. And I just think, yeah, if you do kind of like some of my other movies here, kind of some of that violence, maybe it doesn't have to be as extreme, but you could have it be that rated R violence as well. And I think you could have the potential of just making an absolute banger of a movie,
Yeah.
and you could easily make this into something that could be a franchise. I think,
Ooh, yes.
just because you could just go and battle all these different baddies if you wanted to. You don't have to necessarily follow exactly what this movie did. You can have even a different story if you wanted to reboot it. So
That could be pretty
I
good.
think it's got potential, but
Yeah,
I don't know that this is like a 20-year-old movie. So uh,
that's true.
I
And
think it definitely would probably be a reboot if they were going to do anything with it.
I mean, Hugh Jackman, he's going back to all these characters he's played before, so
He is. There's a
maybe the
chance.
next
There is
one.
a chance.
Let's get the whole Deadpool and Wolverine production crew behind this one. My next one is would need to be it's a revival for this one, and there have been petitions for this one to get the third movie in its trilogy for a long time, even though most people hate the second one. I love the second one. But The Amazing Spider-Man. He came back, and this includes Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 2. I don't care about those ones as much, but The Amazing Spider-Man
This
need
didn't have three?
this had two. This had two
Ah,
movies, and I think they canceled the potential third one once Tom Holland was cast in the MCU and Spider-Man was at home over there. Gave up on this franchise, but now that he came back, and I think everyone involved loved that he did come back and wants to make the Amazing Spider-Man 3. So I hope they can get this done and follow up with the character, see where he is now, and um, yeah, I don't know. Just would love seeing him and Toby and everyone just continue their stories at least for one more movie a piece, I would say.
yeah, I'd be totally fine with that. I definitely did not like the nostalgia bait as much as some people. The Spider-Man movie, but it was still very good, and I think I could enjoy this one as well. I guess would you? I thought I saw something recently, and maybe it was just some weird thing, but I thought they were talking about Sony selling the rights to something back to. I thought it was Spider-Man, but if Marvel had the rights, all the rights to Spider-Man, Uh, no Sony attached. Would you want it to be a Marvel feeling movie?
Oh no. I would want the same feeling that the first two were.
Because I feel like Marvel has a different feel.
Yeah, this one, like you can just even see in the poster, this is much kind of darker and
Hmm.
a little more realistic feeling. And I think you do need to keep that one, especially there's a little bit more. I mean, Tom Holland's catching up, but a little bit more tragedy in this Spider-Man's life.
He's catching up.
He's catching up in the last one, but yeah, I would like to keep some of the same vibe as the first two. Oh boy. And you're next up. Oof.
And this is one that's years in the making. And I feel like there's been rumors on and off about this being made. But yeah, I don't know that there has actually been anything done with it. But yeah, these Sherlock movies, I I just really loved them. I feel like you could have a chance of making them even better than they were 10 years ago or 15, however long it's been. It's been a long time. And yeah, I don't know. I really loved these movies. I think probably was watching them before I watched Iron Man, so this is probably how I was introduced to Robert Downey Jr. And yeah, he was better as Tony Stark.
Now, you were introduced to him with Tropic Thunder.
Oh, that is true. Uh, but yeah, I think these are great movies, and I love the mystery kind of movies. And then he's got kind of that combat side of him as well, where he's like working out the moves in his head. I really love those sequences. So I would love even more of that. That is kind of like the intro to my gory fighting. Maybe they can make this one rated R.
It's a turning point in your life. But yeah, they've been talking. I'm like, he's getting old, man. Like he did a whole decade of MCU after this, and like you
He
see
did.
him kind of relaxing on his farm or something. You're like, my goodness, he looks old. But then I mean, he's coming back to the MCU, and you see him in a movie. I'm like, he looks fine. He doesn't look old. So hope he could do it, and I assume he would want to do it. It sounds like a very fun role. So hoping they get it done. Come on, it's been like a decade.
Yeah, just get one more of these, one last ride on this one as well.
They're both good. There's nothing to complain about.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why they haven't had a third one. That probably was the MCU. Dang it.
They steal everything. They canceled Amazing Spider-Man. They canceled Sherlock Holmes. Kevin Feige, you son of a gun. But my next one is probably a bit of a departure. This is a very different style, but it keeps with the violence. But this movie has puppets, and it's very patriotic. Team America, World Police. This is another one. I think you just put it on randomly on Comedy Central. And we were like, what is this movie? It's puppets and it's from the creators of South Park. So you know their
Yes.
style of humor. You either love it or you hate it. Um, but you're always saying WTF is going on. And this is in that style. I think I like this just because I only know this. It's not like they've done a series of this. This one is higher than South Park for me, but if there was a whole show of this, there'd be good and there'd be bad, but there's
Hmm.
only the good with this one, and it's just hilarious. The different parts of the world they go and the shenanigans involved, and the characters are ridiculous. And the world's only gotten crazier since then, so I just feel there's a lot more potential to do crazy, wacky things with new characters and settings. So I think it's time to revisit this. And I never knew that I would want a kind of puppet movie in my anticipated sequels.
I almost had this one. But yeah, I was like, maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, I'm probably more the South Park guy even than you. And I just they're really good at taking jabs at all sides. So I think yeah, this could be it could be great to revisit this. Especially since they don't like their South Park seasons now are like one, two, three episodes, and they barely do anything. I'm like, come on, guys, you guys are hilarious, and you, like you said, the best material they've ever had over these last years.
No.
It's just crazy. The world's gone so crazy, and they have so much material. And yeah, it'd be great. I hadn't even thought of that. It'd be great to just have it in here if we're not going to have more episodes of South Park.
Yeah. Yeah. And next up for you, you got another kind of funny movie with lots of violence. The
Yeah, the Kingsman: The Secret Service. This was one that back in the first time I watched it, it was a shocker to me. I don't know why, but I think I get it mixed up with there was some other movies that were like more actual realistic and serious. I think it was like the
Man from Uncle or something.
Man from Uncle, or what was it? There was a code one where I don't know, some secret whatever it was. That's what I thought this was for some reason when I was watching it the first time, and then I start watching. I'm like, what is this? And I just absolutely loved it. The crazy. I think this was the first one with kind of the crazy violence that I watched, and yeah, I really loved the first one. Second one was good too, but it didn't really live up to the levels of the first one. And then the third one, where it was different characters and stuff, I think was good. It was different because it didn't have like the original cast in it. Um, but yeah, I would just love to go kind of back to some of the characters from the first one again, and just do more of that style again.
Yeah.
I would love another movie from this.
Yeah, that would be good. And I'm surprised they haven't. They got to be working on something.
They probably are. I think there was something with Argyle. Spoiler. There was like supposed to be some connections or something. So I'm sure they're working on some things in the background, but I don't. Who knows what that'll actually be?
Yeah. Yeah. My number three is a movie. This would be, I don't know if it would be a reboot or a sequel or whatever. But this is a classic from the 80s, horror, might have been 70s, one of those. I think 80s.
Bambi.
Yes, Bambi. The old horror movie. Full of gore and practical effects and creatures and things like that. And there was a remake in 2011, which was actually a prequel. And that is, do you have a guess?
No.
It has to do with an alien creature.
E.T.
It is never going to be E.T. This is The
Oh man, I
Thing.
wouldn't have guessed. I wouldn't have guessed this, but that makes sense.
Yeah, this is a classic, one of the best kind of creatures in cinema history. Some of the most iconic practical monster effects in history in that original one, and the remake in 2011 got a lot of hate, but I think it's actually a really cool concept being a prequel, and apparently they had some pretty good practical effects, but they covered it up. They panicked and put CG all over it, so people were like, "Ah, this one's just all CG." But they did the work. They just covered it up for some reason, and they now have said we regret that decision. But I think this one is just such an awesome environment, and they could change the environment a bit, but just the isolation and the never knowing who to trust, who you can trust, who might be a monster, because the monster kind of touches you, it takes over you, it recreates you, and acts like you. So a bit of Among Us action if you are one of the kids nowadays and like those video games, even though that's probably already so 2020 or something. But yeah, this franchise is awesome. Surprised it only has two kind of mainstream movies. There were talks that, like, I think Blumhouse, who did, like, I think Insidious, Paranormal Activity, a lot of some good horror movies. Invisible Man, which I really liked. You weren't a big fan of. But then they do trash like Night Swim, a haunted pool, or Imaginary, or Five Nights at Freddy's, which is divisive, but I hated it. So the fact that they're possibly involved in maybe making a sequel could be good, could be bad, but I hope we at least get one.
Yeah, the thing isn't all that exciting to me, but I could see how it could be. You could make a very good modern take on it if you changed the environment. I think if you brought it into a whole
Okay.
new system, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's fair, fair pick, Pepper.
Air pick.
I'll stick with the Friday the 13th pick though.
And your number two. Oh boy, what's it gonna be? Nice one. Nice one.
The A Team.
Nice.
This one to me just felt like just one of those classic I don't know, action films. I think it just worked. The character they played off each other so well, and yeah, I don't know if this would be bringing them back. I had to ask you because I for some reason I thought, was there a second one? Because it felt like there could have been, but I guess there was not. I could definitely see all these people coming back for a second one, or you could just I guess you could reboot it, do it. Let us know in the comments below if you'd like to see us do a video on who we would recast these characters with. Uh, all the people that we are have been hot in the last 2 years. We haven't watched any films before 2022. We put Tom Holland. Who else is hot right now? Who else is in everything?
Could be. We gotta get just put his fiance in there, Zendaya, recast one of
That's
these with a
true.
woman, get those two in there. Timothy Chalamet, get him in there. This is a very young A team. Or you go with the 50-year-olds and just keep this cast. Uh, yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And we had a fun moment where you said, "Did this make a sequel?" And I'm like, I literally have that opened on my other screen. I had to share it to you that the A Team is also my number two. This is one of the movies early on in my life I was really excited about, and it lived up to it. I'm like, yeah, it's just a great movie, so much fun, fantastic cast, fantastic action. I'm scared to go back and watch it because I'm like, maybe I build it up more in my head, but
Mhm.
the way I remember this is just everything that I wanted, and it's so surprising that I look at this cast and I'm like, they could still play these characters. It's like over a decade later. Bradley Cooper, I think, still pretty popular. He's making great movies. Liam Neeson as well. The crazy guy, I think been in some things recently, and I have not seen BA in anything recently. I don't know. I think he's like a fighter in real life, so they were
Mhm.
all good in their characters here. So
Yeah.
they're keeping this cast or recasting it. Although recasting, you maybe they're like Jack Black, throw him in there. I'm like, no, no, that's not good. That is not what we want.
No, that's exactly it. Then you get the Jumanji cast, and that is two totally different feeling movies. This these characters all worked together well. They had humor in the film, but they did not feel unserious, which
Yes.
is a huge difference. Like I would say Jumanji to me feels unserious in ways.
The video
I
game.
mean, it's a video game. I mean, it makes sense for that movie.
Yeah,
It does not make sense
that's
for
true.
this movie for
That's
them to be unserious in that way. You could claim
yeah.
there's some unserious moments, but it's a whole different feel. And yeah, if you casted those people, that is exactly the wrong thing that would happen. So yeah, let's stick
They
with
would
these characters
they
because we
would
know what we're gonna get. We're not gonna risk it.
it would be the exact cast of Jumanji. You are 100% right. Um, but who is who? That's the question. I do have some written down for my potential fan casting, so I am up for that video. We got to do that someday. Just one comment down below. It might even have to be my own. Tell us to do it. So yeah, so
Boy,
that was my number two, and you have been able to narrow it down to know your number one now. So let us know your
I think
most anticipated sequel of all time.
yes, I think everyone will agree with me on this one. It's definitely a very well-known movie. Wouldn't be considered like cult classic-ish for sure. For certain, it would not be considered that. And it did actually get a TV show or a show on streaming, I guess. Um, I thought that was pretty good as well. So I guess we could just get another season of that, or we could just get a movie, and that is MacGruber. This is this is my the A team or not the A team um, Team America
It
pick,
is.
I
It
think.
is kind of
Uh,
the same post as the A Team, actually.
it is kind of the same pose as the
Same
A team.
thing.
It basically is the A team. That's why it's so good. But no, I love Will forte of humor. I think he just I don't know his timing just really tickles me, and I love this character that he plays in this, and it's just this oh I'm gonna go for the throat rip. It's just it's just a lot of fun. I think it just really works for me, and I'm so up for another one. It's I feel like. I don't know. There haven't been like a bunch of great comedies recently, and I think this one could do that. For me, it might not do it for everyone. I'm guessing his humor isn't for everyone, but and some parts of it does get a little bit like it's kind of hot bathroom humor, and
Yeah.
some of that I'm like I don't necessarily love that, but some of it, the way he delivers his lines and stuff is just amazing, and, and I could just do with a MacGruber too, and yeah.
Yeah, that I would totally be down for it. I'm surprised that we even got the TV show. I'm so
I know.
thankful we
I would
did.
have never guessed that would be something we'd get. So the fact that they did that, there's a chance.
Yeah.
I guess I have not looked at how well that was received or what they've done, if they have any plans for anything there. That would probably answer my question if they
Yeah.
said, "Nope, we're done with MacGruber."
I thought it was all right because I thought like the
I
actors
thought it
were
was
like
pretty good.
we want to make more of it, which I think that's probably the biggest hurdle to get sometimes. Well,
Yeah.
obviously not because they do want to do it, and it's not being made as far as I know, but they need to make it. They need to make it. Fantastic. Great pick. I would be just almost excited for that as I would be for my number one. Actually, no, I would be way more excited for
Would
my
I be excited for
number
your
one.
number one?
I don't think so. I don't think so. This is because you disagree with the title that I give this one as best zombie movie ever. Do you know what that
Oh,
is?
yeah. I think this one's good. I think it's a good one.
World
I would
War
I would
Z.
I would be going to this one in theaters.
Okay, good. Yeah, this one was kind of like this, and another movie, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, that one, and this one were some of my early childhood most anticipated movies like ever, like super hype movies, like so much more than A-Team had, and they both lived up to it. I was just like, I just love this movie. It's not too scary. I think that's a thing that does hold some zombie movies down from really being like favorite movies of all time, is they're just a little bleak sometimes too much and maybe end on not the nicest note. This one always feels like there is hope, there is a way to beat this. It's much more of a race against time pandemic film versus gore and blood and guts and things like that. So hardcore zombie fans might not like this one, but I loved it. And the fact that it's Brad Pitt, it's a big budget. Don't get a lot of those for zombie movies, so it was
Yeah.
just pairing together just like a really awesome looking, well made, plus zombies and apocalypse, which I really like. And yeah, this one has kind of been like, we're making a sequel, and then they kind of cancel it. And I was surprised to hear Brad Pitt was down to make a sequel. I would have thought, oh, he's way too good for, he wants to do fancy films. He doesn't want to do a zombie sequel or something. But that just makes it hurt even more that they aren't making it. The fact that he is down for a sequel, and they just, I think they're like, oh, China doesn't like supernatural stuff and zombies, and I'm like, that's a big part of their market. So I think they canceled it for one of the reasons being that. I'm like, oh, dang it. There's so much. They just make more, make more. I love this movie, one of my favorites of all time. I don't know if it's ever being made. I could see the rights falling into someone else's hands like in a decade and make some straight to TV trash zombie movie. And I'm like, I don't care about that. I want this. I want a direct sequel.
Yeah, I agree. It's just something you're not going to get the same feeling if you have someone else kind of do it. Um, but yeah, I thought this one was good. I don't know if I agree with you that it's not scary. I mean, zombies running at like 100 miles an
Yeah.
hour is a little bit scary
Yeah. But they bite you
compared
and
to
you,
some of them that are slow zombies in certain
absolutely.
films.
They bite
Uh,
you, you turn in 10 seconds, you don't even know it's happening.
Yeah, I feel like that was a little scary. Like, I think that
That's
I
true.
remember it's been a while since I watched it, but like that initial scene where their
Like it's in the
car crashes and you
streets.
got the zombies going fast, and I mean, kind of scary,
Yeah, it
a
is
little
pretty
bit.
scary.
It
I
really
guess,
sets the tone, but
yeah, yeah, that's good. Yeah.
yeah, this is a good pick to end on, Pepper. You're lucky you didn't have one of those other ones I disagreed with you on,
Oh
but
yes, I am lucky. I had to go a safe pick here, and I would say this is like the one. Like all the others, I maybe had to think a little bit to find out those ones, but this is like the one that I wanted for ever since it happened.
yeah. But like Pepper said, let us know your top picks for sequels for movies or reboots that you'd be looking forward to. If you liked this, give us a thumbs up, subscribe for future lists like this. But otherwise, we hope to see you on our future videos. And as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on that popcorn with extra butter.
Gotta have.